What's up, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo of OneTrueSportTV.com, ForHorsemanNetwork.com, and we are back. We are back. It is straight talk with the boss. You know what that means? It's with Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. Guys, welcome back to the show. Greg, you were feeling a little under the weather, but thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to just be upright.
You survived a tornado, and now you're dealing with a sickness. So
that damn COVID, man.
Dang, that COVID gets you.
It knocked me down. I tried to throw a drop kick. I couldn't get up very high.
Oh, man. You got Laura.
Yeah. Then I knew I was in trouble.
Well, it's good to have you guys here. We are live on ForHorsemanNetwork.com. We're live on OneTrueSportTV.com. Be sure to get your questions in if you have them. If you use the super chat, your question will definitely get answered, and we'll pop it to the front of the line. But we always enjoy the engaging conversation that everybody has in the chat, and it kind of directs some of the show to where we go. But we got some good stuff to talk about today. We'll start off with Bash at Berlin that occurred this past weekend. We all watched it. And I believe there was only 5 matches in total on the card. And wow, what a pay-per-view. What a good crowd Berlin was. Magnum, I just wanted to get your thoughts initially overall of the show, production, and the execution of it.
They've really taken that whole concept and like writing a master class for how you do it well. Content, I mean, start out with a world title match and it builds from there. The entire card was phenomenal, and it built momentum. There was not one weak link, in the whole piece. There wasn't that one that was just there kind of for a filler. They were all excellent, and literally they just kept getting better and better. It was a pleasure to watch. I mean, it makes you realize why you fell in love with the sport to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was so much to talk about with it. Greg, what did you think of the pay-per-view overall and how you handled it?
Well, I put it on silent. My buddy Wacky called him. I got a job for him.
Oh, nice.
No, I thought from top to bottom, to me, it was a sensational card. The best one that I've seen in a long time, from match after match after match. God damn it. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
I'm on a podcast. I'll talk to you later.
It's called airplane mode. But anyway, go ahead.
I put it on. I shut my whole thing. I thought I shut it down, but you know how tech savvy I am.
You're just coming up with excuses, Greg. You want to answer a riddle.
I said, "Can you help me find a contract? I can't find my contract." It wasn't for this show, but it was for Powertown.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just way out there. I don't know what's going on anymore. You hit 75. What the hell? I made it this far.
75 is the new 55.
So what were we talking about?
The pay-per-view. What are your overall thoughts on it?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was phenomenal. I'll tell you from the top to the bottom. And, I comment on every match, but every one was sensational. And then you finish it off with Orton and Gunther, and that was a solid old school wrestling match. And the people in Berlin were just so into it. It was fantastic. They did a great job. I sent Triple H a little note. I said, "Fantastic pay-per-view, the best one I've ever seen." Of course, he didn't answer back yet, but.
I bet he bookmarked it though. He's got it. He pinned it at the top.
No, you have to give him credit. I mean, that was sensational.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. Yeah. Let's talk about that main event: Gunther versus Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Crowd was very much into it. Very much into Randy Orton. Very much into Gunther. And like you said, Greg, man, they told like a old school wrestling story. They got about 30 something minutes, I think, in total. And man, they milked it for every second that they had. I thought what they did, the pacing of it all was really, really great and made it stand out in itself. But they did that nice spot in the commentators table. I thought added another ripple to it, and then the finish. Wow, something special. Magnum, what were your thoughts on that main event match?
Well, it was perfect because I mean everybody knows their role and their place. I mean, Randy just signed a 5-year extension on his contract, and he's firmly cemented to be the greatest of all time, and certainly Hall of Famer many times over. But the role he played in taking Gunther to another level, because everybody said, "Oh, Gunther's like yeah, Gunther has all those things, but if you don't have the guy to put you through all those paces and to make you through that contest the way Randy made him and telling that story. He took him to a place he'd never been before,
Yeah.
and elevated him so high that it took nothing off of Randy. I mean, they could pick that up and have a rematch tomorrow. Anybody can get beat in a rear naked choke. And I like the fact that they made it like a rear naked choke. I mean, too many people are smart, watch the UFC, watch the stuff, and there's no picking your hand up 3 times. If when you get in a rear naked choke, if it's on 15 seconds, you're toast. It's all over. And so it was just very believable, solid. Randy is so big and just physically intimidating looking, and moves still like a cat at 290 pounds that he weighs. I mean, you can tell he's very. I mean, he doesn't have the the trim waistline that he has had at 50 pounds lighter, but he's just monstrous in size. And Gunther needs that kind of guy to work with. Big, strong, rugged guy to to tell that story with. So it was perfect. It was great. The show of respect they had afterwards.
Yeah.
The extended hand, and and I heard a lot of people complain about, oh, Randy he's got to get. He got plenty of time to get those additional title shots in, and he undoubtedly will get them and surpass Flair and Cena. And I have a little concern over the security of his future, but he's showing what a valuable asset he is, and a true team player for the business and the well-being of the overall company. Because making that guy like he did is going to put more money in the bank for the company than anybody could ever imagine going down the road.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. And it's neat to know that he signed for a long-term deal, and it creates already that impression in your mind. Wow, he's gonna beat the record. He's gonna have that going for him. So I think that's a good move to make that public and make it known. Greg, I wanted your more thoughts specifically on the performance of Gunther and what you think he adds to the WWE product overall now, like as the champion and this
Well,
big first
PA
title
said it
defense.
best because Randy brought out the best in Gunther.
Mhm.
And that was his role. And only veterans, real veterans of the sport, really know the whole psychology of it, can come up with that. And he laid it out for Gunther. And like you said, it brought Gunther up. To me, watching Gunther before, yeah, he was a big rugged guy, but how far can they go with him?
Yeah.
Well, now he has been made the champion. They put that stamp on it, and now they can put him with anybody. I don't know if anybody else is going to have that kind of a match with him, but it'll awaken Gunther up to what he has to accomplish down in the ring, the way he has to handle it.
It's a great
Well, you've got Cody Gunther down the road. You got Roman Reigns Gunther down the road. I mean, you've got so many ways they can go. But again, it took him up to that truly, main event world's heavyweight champion player, to where he's on a complete par with what Cody's doing with the undisputed title. I like the way they continued to elevate that world championship title, because it's throwback to the big gold, to the 10 pounds of gold, to the heritage. It was so instrumental in building the business, and it's kind of an homage, to the past. So I really like it.
it
I do
feels like
too.
a big deal. Feels like a big deal even more so now that Gunther has held it, and like he looks like that defending kind of Luthez vibe. He's got that, but he's like a foreign heel, but he's not playing the foreign heel to the extent of like, oh, I hate America, I hate all this stuff, and blah blah blah. It's more that he's condescending, but he's also credible. Like you believe him. and like he's very manipulative. You kind of saw that too, following up on Raw when it came to him and Sami Zayn. But yeah, overall, I wanted to get both your guys' thoughts to just on Randy Orton and what your impressions of in the history of the business as a legacy. You guys seen so many talents come and go. You've been in the ring with legends. You are legends yourselves. Magnum, give me your thoughts about overall Randy Orton and where would you kind of put him in the echelon of all time wrestlers?
I think honestly that we're seeing the best version of Randy now that he's been in his entire career.
Wow.
And he's been, excellent and done, 5-star rated matches and wowed and pops and things. But the command that he has of every step he makes, every turn he makes, every nuance to the crowd, they're hanging on every word. And he's got such a air about him, and there's no wasted movement in anything that he does. There's no weak spot. There's nothing in the armor that you can pick on to say, well, this could be a little bit better. It's like I'm trying to think of somebody to compare him to, and I really can't.
Yeah.
Anybody that big, that big and that credible, and that with that ability to tell the story and also to communicate on the mic equally as convincing as what he does in the ring. Because again, we've seen some guys that were absolutely stellar in-ring performers, and they weren't 5-star on the microphone. So he's got it all. He's truly the triple threat guy. Got the physique, got the work, got the mic skills, and I hope he stays good and healthy and gets every single inch out of that 5-year contract, and just retires with the great legacy that he's already made for himself.
He really has, dude. Really has.
One thing I didn't know that Randy had already had back surgery.
Oh yeah.
And he had a fusion in his back.
Yes.
Which I had.
It was up for about.
There's no way I could ever get back in the ring again. Of course, I'm a lot older, but I mean, even in the younger days, I don't know how he's doing it.
Well, Greg,
I think that bigger size is part. I think that's part of the reason he bulked up.
You're great point, Magnum. That's a great point. I think too. Well, so what happened? The reports came out while he was out, and everybody was wondering about his status and when he would come back, if he would come back, everything like that. Doctors recommended that he didn't return to the ring. They said don't get back in there, like, and everything like that. He was going against doctors' wishes to go back into the ring. And here he is, and he's like Magnum's saying, doing the best kind of work in his in-ring career, arguably. So
yeah. Not a doubt.
Pretty fascinating, and I'm sure, and obviously he's got such a reputation for being so smooth and so considerate of what the action goes on in the ring, that he knows how to handle his body and what his body can and basically take. So I mean, Randy's a pro. He is a Viper in certain ways, more ways than just the moniker. So it's pretty cool.
That's for sure.
See him back in the mix, man. Yeah, I love.
He's a phenomenal talent, and you would have to put him up. How do you compare them to the guys that built the industry back in the 50s?
Mm-hmm.
It was a different style.
Sure.
But yet it was a slower pace, but yet they had all the tools too.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to put him right up there with the greats of all times, I think. Just watching him and how he builds the match, how he delivers, how he sells, how he reacts, how he comes back, the fire he can show. I mean, he's got it all. Yeah. And again, I heard him announce him one day at 270, and I could read his lips. He said 300.
300. Yeah.
And he may well be. He's put on some weight. He looks fantastic, and he still moves like a cat.
He does. It's remarkable. It's remarkable.
It really is.
Here's an interesting comment from Raven Johnson in the chat. Greg, I want your perspective. Randy is on par with Bockwinkel. What do you think of that comment? On par with Bockwinkel.
On par with Bockwinkel? I would say he's probably better than Bockwinkel.
Wow, there we go. How about that?
I mean, Nick was good, really good. Uh, Randy's exceptional.
Yeah, he is.
You know, and watching that match, you know, prior to that, you know, Randy is good. He's great.
Yeah.
But that match there made him and earned the respect from probably all of us in professional wrestling that from that old school. Because that was an old school type match.
Yeah, it was.
You know, it wasn't the bing, 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 bing. They had some of those spots, but everything was at a pace and everything meant something in the ring.
Yeah.
Whether it was a punch or where he does the neck thing. You know, it came out of the boiler and bang, and the people bang. And they took their time and told the story. And you don't see a lot of that anymore in wrestling. You know, and for TV, I know with the attention span of the public, they say it's 8 seconds. You know, they want this bing, 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 bing. But when they got those pay-per-views and they got the time, that's why I say that whole card reminded me a lot of old school wrestling and the storytelling that was in it and everything that went along with it and built that last match to a big explosion, especially getting that guy over in his home country. Just was sensational.
And Greg, I think you make an excellent point too. You mentioned it, 5-match card, and the attention span. It's so susceptible to what's in front of us all the time, the phone screens, what we see, on television, anything to that effect. It's all tailored to that. But when a wrestling fan is tuning into a 5-match pay-per-view, and the time is put into each one of these matches, and there's attention to detail with that, you can still rope somebody in. It's just a matter of telling the story right and getting those fans invested early on. And they did such a wonderful job to build of this match throughout the weeks beforehand, and then just the execution of this match. You could really make an argument for this being the match of the year when it comes to pro wrestling standpoint, for sure. I think. It's just a testament to both those guys. Question asked by Eddie Prather here, who's a member of One True Sport. Question for Greg and Magnum. Do you believe that Gunther could end up being the greatest foreign world champion? I think he might already is. What do you think of that kind of notion there? The greatest foreign champion. I'm trying to think of somebody else that would be along those lines that you could put in the ranks of that. But
again, Edward Carpentier.
Yeah, there you
go. He was exceptional in the ring. Heinz Schmidt.
Yeah.
He was another big, rugged German wrestler. And I used to see my dad come home and he'd have the bootlaces in the side of his chest from getting kicked by him. Killer Kowalski was from here, but from Polish descent.
Yep.
There was a lot of really, really good foreign wrestlers, but Gunther is, I think, far and above most of them that I've seen.
Yeah,
but
he's on that prominent.
But he wasn't until he had this match with Randy.
That's a great. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Greg. Megan, what do you think? What do you think? Any other foreign heels stand out to you?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think he's the best version of himself. That he'll be, even another 6 months or a year down the road of doing what he's doing. But if you look at his history and look at him when he was in the UK and look at how he's transformed his body and just his dedication to the craft. I mean, it's no, it's like he's put in the work. Yeah, he had to have the chops, he had the skill, and he's come along with a marketably different style, and that he's embraced the mat wrestling and the catch as catch can, as the old timers call it. He's embraced the respect of that history of it, and made it where people are interested in watching. I've laughingly told people, they said, "Oh, if you could jump in there today, and blah 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 blah, would it be hard to adapt?" And I said, "No," I said, "It would be so easy because you could be so marketably different and be unique."
Right.
I mean, if you did more basic things, and he's done, he's doing just that, and it is less with more, and more credibility in what they do without all the buzz and the flying, and frankly that whole card was like that. I mean, Cody's match, was fantastic,
Yeah.
and the storytelling was superb, and just all the way through, and you know the CM Punk feud is undoubtedly, with no title associated with it, the darndest thing I think I've seen in the last 15 years.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to compare it to, but they come across with such steam and heat, like like I said, I haven't seen in years. It reminds me of back in the days with like when Roddy Piper was at his peak, and he was not. He was a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
He did not mind doing whatever it took, and the matches that those guys are having now, and the aftermath that they had on Monday night,
Yeah.
the fight they had. I mean, they are convincing the entire world that something devastating is going to have to happen at the end of that. And I like the fact that they put Punk over. The CM Punk, went over, and
Definitively.
and it was just epic. But they, again, they're just carrying that heat right on along, and I don't know where the end in sight is to it, but I like it because again, back to the old storytelling, you should be able to get mileage out of these things. It shouldn't be a flash in the pan and, oh my gosh, what are we going to do next? It should be creating the fact that the 1, 2, 3 it is not even remotely the end of anything. When both people are still living and breathing, that's how after 8 months, Tully and I ended up in that little I Quit match thing. So they're all they're
How about the 7 series?
well that's a whole nother deal.
I know, but if you wanted to take 2 people right now from the WWE and do that match, who would you take?
Ooh, that's a great question, Greg.
Would you do CM Punk and McIntyre?
The story would be there. Would Punk's body hold up? I think.
I don't know how either one are going to hold up in that.
Yeah.
The longevity of that totally depends on the health of the players in the game and the stage they're at in their careers. But I think chemistry wise, that's the obvious. I mean, that's the obvious.
Absolutely.
Monster. I mean, it's like, Roman and Cody had taken it to that crazy place at WrestleMania last year with The Rock and all that stuff, and really quickly escalated something into a huge drama. But McIntyre and Punk could, if they keep playing along this line and doing the things that they're doing, and after watching Braun Strowman and that monster, and Braun coming back with the ribs all taped up and put me in, coach. I'm going, and they've got several people there that really you can't miss with. You put them up to bat and throw them a good ball, and they're gonna knock one out of the park. So there's several guys on the roster.
Well, those 2 giants, I don't think they can do a 7 series.
And I'm not sure Rhea Ripley couldn't beat half the guys on the roster.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, was she an intimidating looking thing in that ring? I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, honest to goodness, I mean, Mysterio.
Dom.
Sure, yeah, he looked like he was in dire straits, and she could have ripped him absolutely in half.
Yeah,
and he's carrying that great heat, and still probably got more heat than anybody walking. He can't even talk for the people so pissed off at him.
People are so mad at him.
Yeah. Well, he made the comment. He said, "I'm the only heel to turn heel in my own program," and take, he did. Dishing on switching girls midstream and taking the whole clan with you and kicking them out of the group basically. But again, in that that stacked card, that tag match, which could have just been a puff fluff deal, was dramatic. It was hard hitting. It was nothing cutesy about it, and I can't wait to see Charlotte come back and re-up and get in the mix with all that because
Holy balls, yeah.
because she's supposedly medically cleared now, and going to be popping back up.
That could end quick if she gets in there with Rhea.
Oh,
Well, the match that they had for the championship where she dropped it to Rio was a real physical match, and I don't think there has been a woman that size and that stature with that muscularity to go with it that works any better than Rhea.
No.
I mean, Charlotte's got a way of carrying herself that she's in a league of her own and a whole different stylization. But the physicality that Rhea just can display, I mean, really, she's not much different in stature to China, and she can work her ass off. I mean, she's just phenomenal talent. So again, watching that wheel go around, they just keep bouncing around, and like you said, it wasn't that huge of a card. It didn't have that many people on it, and it was classic.
Rhea actually made Damien.
Yeah, right. She enhanced.
She brought him up to another level.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And that's what a good pro does.
Mm-hmm.
Brings everybody around him up to that level.
Yeah,
and she brought that whole card up. I mean that match.
Yeah,
me and really made Damien.
Yeah,
I mean, he was kind of people were still wishy-washy with him, but now, man, he popped like that.
You put those two together, they have such a cool chemistry to one another that you're right. Like Rhea being there and her being such a big star really helped enhance Damien to a further babyface level.
Really did.
Was really, really, that's a great point. Man, Rhea, the physicality she brings is like, it is bar none. And it's like, you could put her like against any dude, it seems like, in that ring. And they're like, well, yeah, she's probably got a shot. It's.
And the thing that was obvious too is that Liv Morgan is a hand. I mean, she's really a hand. She's not just, the little cutesy girl that, bounces around. I mean, she can work. And she, she doesn't have the size and the stature and everything, but her timing is impeccable. And when the gears change, when the advantage changes, she knows how to turn it around and get her stuff in and still be very credible and look like she can be very dangerous if given the opportunity. And that's a hard picture to paint when you're in there with someone of the size and stature of her opponent, and you can still be considered a threat and not like you're like a piece of paper getting ready to fold up.
Right.
Because I mean, obviously, like I said, Rhea looked like she could manhandle half the card. And it was very much in her own head, and comfortable and out there and just ready for whatever it took.
Yes, really great points here.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Finally making some great points.
Yep.
Took how many episodes?
It only took about like 33 episodes, but we got there. Baby steps. That's all. That's it.
Yeah.
Robert makes the mention of best of 7 series. Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov would be a good best of 7 series that you could really have a.
Oh, that'd be excellent. Yeah. They would be fantastic because Braun's got to have somebody that works that rugged style that will be all up in his stuff. Yes, you got to have a very aggressive opponent with the physicality because you can tell he's not like that finesse kind of worker guy. He's a guy that likes to know he's been hit and doesn't want you to complain too much when he hits you, and is comfortable in that. And I get it because I mean it was like I remember working, for instance, with superstar Billy Graham, who I always admired, one of the greatest physiques of everything else, and I was so uncomfortable working with him because he was so light and so just, he was an artiste, and I was anything but. I was like, a bull in a china shop, and trying to be reciprocating to him and not offend him, and be respectful. But working with guys like that was really, really hard for me because if you chop me or if like I've heard Greg say this before too. If somebody hits you in the back and you don't see, they don't tell you, and you see it, and you don't even register it because you didn't know what they did. They're all pissed off. Well, I need to have enough contact that I know what's going on so I can sell it.
Yeah.
But that was Vern's philosophy. You better be solid in there. Lay everything in.
Lay it in.
And get it back. It's you got to have that.
Greg, who was like that for you though? Like really, like kind of what Magnum was saying about Billy Graham in the ring. Who was that? Who was like that working with you in the ring? Where you're like,
Ray Stevens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You hit it on the bed. He had me in reverse chinlock and hit me in the back of the head, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it. And he whacked me again. And he said, sell it. I said, I didn't feel anything.
You didn't feel it. I got to feel it.
So I felt the next one.
There you go. You asked, you shall receive.
Yeah, but there was a few guys like that. And I had a tough time working with people like that because Vern taught us all to be so solid. Some guys were really kind of nervous getting in there with us. And, when you chop, you lay that chop in there. You lay that, when you hit them, hit them.
Hit them.
Yep. You put that hold on, let them know you got it on.
Make them feel the goods for sure.
Yeah.
Another match I wanted to kind of touch upon too was the women's tag match was a pleasant surprise. I thought with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair going up against the Unholy Union with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I thought was I thought maybe it would just kind of be a match, but like they made Jade look like a star, like big time there. I thought she really stood out. I think this was probably her best match I think she's ever had, whether it was in AEW.
Hands down, the best ever. And they got to keep her right in that lane, right next to her partner, who is mentoring her, whether it's verbally or she's just catching on through osmosis. But to your point, it was the best body of work I've ever seen her do. And she is just destined to be a mega star, like bigger than anything we've ever seen. I mean, she really, if she gets up to where she's like a B minus player in the ring with all the skill sets, just combined with the charisma and the look, she's going to be the biggest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
without doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Man,
she doesn't look too bad either.
No, my gosh, movie star looks. It's like that. You know what? That the other woman that we talk about, Rhea Ripley being like credible and having that presence. Bianca Belair is right up there with her, I think too. I think she's
Oh yeah, I mean, those girls they have that's the best group of girls I've seen ever.
Hey, didn't you train one of them, Greg?
Pardon me?
Didn't you train one of them?
Oh, Tiffany.
Yeah.
But
that's who it is.
We'll see where she ends up. She's still got some learning to do.
Yeah,
but, she'll get there.
Yep.
She'll get there.
Oh, Darren Staley. I just DM'd Dom a pic of Aunt Patty. Aunt Patty was the one that liked your chest hair, Magnum. So just because I let it go, he said. So I'll have to text you that picture back.
Oh gosh.
What happened?
So weeks ago, Darren Staley said his Aunt Patty had the hots for Magnum TA and like was enthralled with his chest hair. Mm-hmm.
Well, so, it's so funny, man, because I mean, when you go to these events and these kids come up to you and tell you about their mom or their aunt or somebody, and I just got to think to myself, I don't know. I hope they don't tell all the story. I don't, because they can come up and tell me practically anything, and I'd be stuck. I mean, I would not have a clue. I mean,
your mother was a fantastic lady. I had a great time with her. That's
I mean,
it. Boom.
it was a different time and a different life and a different era, and things that were socially acceptable that aren't anymore. But I'm just saying it is such a whirlwind of time that I couldn't put all the places and faces and things together if somebody put a gun to my head. So you could, I'm kind of fair game. You could probably come up and tell me just about any story you want, and I had to think real hard about it.
Oh, no, it doesn't bother me. I never forget anything,
Magnum, I think the next product I'm going to make on One True Sport is a calendar that's just Magnum photos. I think that's the gonna be next product, like almost like when they do the fireman calendar. It's gonna be you, just strictly pictures of you on there.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Put some little hearts on certain dates. Put little
Just
hearts
in time
there.
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We're gonna have an
Beanie.
annual monthly calendar at Magnum.
Well,
Maureen over here. Linda up here.
They put you on worldwide broadcast television show and tell everybody in America you're the loneliest man in America. They got to feel sorry for you. That poor guy. He just can't even find me. And everybody was trying to rescue me.
We're at least going to make Magnum TA Valentine's Day card.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we're at least gonna do.
Be sure you have Courtney on it.
Yeah, there we go. We'll do the tandem.
There you
go. Wanted to get Magnum. We talked about this. This is an article that I happened to find. You've been talking about like what WWE could potentially be doing with Netflix, and will they get edgier? What's going to be their game plan? And I happened to find Roman Reigns did an interview here, and he spoke about going to Netflix. Let me pull it up. I thought I had it here, but I think I got to pull it back up. Here we go. So he spoke, him and Paul Heyman actually spoke. So this is him talking about Netflix. This is Roman Reigns. He says, but the thing that changes the whole landscape for us is that we've been on a linear television for decades now. We've been the leader of that episodically. So to take our program and put it on a streaming network like Netflix, it's just unheard of. To go all the way back through our history and see where we are now and the growth that we've had really since 2020, when the world was upside down, has just really been amazing. So it's a big opportunity for us to not only showcase our product, but just what we've mastered with live television. So them going to a streaming service like Netflix and getting this product over is a little bit more cool, I think. He also adds about being PG. And, Greg, to what you're saying, how you're like, you don't necessarily need a lot of like the rated R kind of aspect of it all. And so this is what he said regarding the PG era. So he's talking about Paul Heyman's like crass Hall of Fame speech and what he said during his Hall of Fame. If we allow Paul Heyman to do the Hall of Fame speeches nonstop, we definitely push that envelope. But for me, I don't know. I always enjoyed the challenges of being PG, and no offense to our predecessors and the people who came before us and the ratings that they revolved around. But to me, it's a more challenging to be able to tell these stories, and it also allows you a broader audience to connect to, which I just really feel like is always the goal. We want to reach as many people as possible, and to think that there's a finite limit that you can cross, that threshold where you push people off from the product. So I think there's going to be a nice little range there, and we can play with, and to push the envelope in certain senses. But I think we need to stick to our values and the morals that we set in place in the culture that we have now. What do you guys think of those comments?
I agree with them 100%. That's the best statement you can make about it.
Yeah,
I think. I was worried with Paul Heyman. Maybe they're going to go back to that style he had in Philly.
Yeah, in ECW.
Yeah, I thought maybe that's what they were going to do, and I'm glad that Roman spoke up, and I'm sure he had some coaching in that. But you don't want to get too far out. Mm-hmm. You've built that. You built it now as a family type program, and don't go too far out where you're going to piss people off and not let the kids watch it.
Yeah, Magnum, what do you think of those quotes?
That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
I think he's smoking crack.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't smoke shit. I don't smoke anything.
No,
Roman.
I'm saying you're not going to go and get people to bridge to a streaming service without giving them something that they couldn't see, and a stylization of storytelling that is edgier than what you see. Because if it were, and the product that they've got now is great, don't get me wrong, but it makes no sense to go through the effort to cross that bridge unless you can do the kind of things they can do on a Paramount Plus, or these this other these other programs that aren't on just traditional television. And I always go back to uh, Costner's show, and
Oh,
and the fact that it's not the kids program even today that it was 25 years ago. It's different. They're not they don't have the Hulk Hogan telling you to eat your vitamins and do workout and
say
say
your
your prayers and all this stuff. Is more that 18 to 35 demographic, really seriously, and people that have the money to go pay these outrageous amounts of money to go see these things live. And it's a cultural thing. It's the hip hop lifestyle. It's the this. It's the that. It's all these new media circles that it's embraced with. So when you look at all that, there is no way they're not going to lean in to what things that would have been taboo on their traditional show. I'm not saying they got to be f bombing and it become crude, like I feel like AEW is just on many occasions just for the shock value.
Yeah.
I'm saying you're not going to untie someone's hands with the creative genius that they have sitting in that bullpen of people there, and not be edgy. Because even if you look at, I think we got a taste of it with The Rock. If you look at the way he was when he was playing that really nasty heel persona that he played, and he played it great, but there was nothing PG about it. It was hardcore. It was some of it was raunchy, and I think that was a preview of a storyline, or a one thread that may be weaving through the whole thing. I'm not saying the whole thing. Even though The Rock was doing all the stuff he was doing, and you see everybody else, then taking liberties, but you're going to be able to do something in a way of from a creative perspective that you could not do on the USA Network or on Fox, or it doesn't make sense in the story. Doesn't make
Very
sense.
good points.
You know what? And like, I think there is that realm. Like, you don't want to shoehorn this content in, this edgy content, and you don't want to be heavy-handed with it and be like, "Oh, look at all the blood we got. Hey, we can swear now. Let's swear all the time." You don't want to
No,
really
no.
do that and hammer that point home. And I think to your point though, they can loosen up. They can loosen the tie a little bit and be like, "Listen, we can have fun. Like, if the fans are chanting some derogatory terms, we don't have to mute it every time. It doesn't handcuff the visual and the sound of the product certain ways. But yeah, when the moments are right, when the storyline warrants it, there's times that you can really push that envelope a little bit.
McIntyre and Punk are a prime example. I
Mhm.
mean, the things that the level of violence that they're portraying is right there on that edge. Anyway, I
Uh-huh.
mean, he stuffed a handful of beads down his throat, and
Right.
and I mean, and he looked really beat up on that stretcher.
He did, didn't he?
I mean, his mouth was busted, and I mean, he looked like he'd been in a shoot.
Right.
And to be able to take things to that level where you really think you've ripped somebody's arm out of socket or blown their knee out, and going on it like again, they're perfect for it, because Drew's got no limit of what he's capable of showing out in the way of violence. And and you got the Braun Breakers coming along that have the same propensity for doing that. Things that they can do with the with all the Samoan group of folks.
Yeah, the
So
bloodline and stuff.
so yeah, it has got to be something that you take advantage of and leverage without it becoming a cheapening of the product. To your point, because nobody wants. I mean, nobody in entertainment watches the kind of things they did during the Attitude Era. Not even the mainstream movies. I
No.
mean, it's just not. It's not what the public's gets excited about. I mean, they love to see pretty women and fit people and edgy things and all that, but it's not that in your face, goofy, Jerry Lawler jumping around at the puppy,
Puppies.
staring at the puppies and being like like
Like a
playing the
bird.
pound fool, and that's not what people are buying in 2024. It's just a different time frame. They kind of shock jock their way through that thing, and and you don't ever want to go backwards anyway. You want to again, but if you take a mindset of a Yellowstone type storyline of somebody that marching down the middle of that thing, or know that you can have that one character that can weave in and out of storylines with countless people on your roster, then now you got something you can take some liberties with and have some fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Great points, guys. Really great points. But hey, we're cooking today on episode whatever 33.
You think we're a couple of rookies? Holy shit!
Hey, I gotta say too, it'll be interesting how they handle the Wyatt Six on Netflix. Will they incorporate more horror related aspects to that and make that a little bit more edgier? I'm curious what kind of line they'll toe with that to make it still feel realistic, but are they going to be a little bit more violent? Is it, and convey a little bit more of that group in that regard? That's something to think about too, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Ed Prather has a comment above. I'll get both of them since he did it. First off, he said, "Greg and Megan, can you thank your family for me for sharing the two of you with wrestling fans like me who needed real life superheroes back in the day?" So a nice comment there, Eddie. And then
Well, thank you.
he
Very
follows up.
nice comment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I gotta get you his information, by the way, Greg, because you told him you'd send him an 8x10. And I never sent you his address or nothing like that. So
I didn't hear you there.
Oh, I gotta send you Eddie's information because you told him you'd give him an 8x10, and I never gave you his information.
Oh, that's right.
So I'll hook you up with that too.
You're trying to make me a bad guy.
Yeah, I'm turning Greg heel, and
Not a
without
doubt.
his knowledge, he's turning heel.
Uh,
Question for Magnum: who were some of the best ribbers and the promoters you worked for at? Some of the best ribbers, Magnum.
I was not in the middle of the ribs. Thank God.
Thank goodness.
I mean, the Steiners came along after me, when they were together, and they were horrible to be, I mean, they glue people's bags down and, just do all kind of crazy crap. But my thought process all was, if you go down that road, if you dish it out, you got to be able to take it, right?
Yeah.
And the way I'm wired and the way I go, I don't, I don't go mess with somebody, or because I don't want to be messed with in that role, in that environment, because guys will always cross the line. You give them an inch. I'd rather them think that, I have the propensity to pick up something large and hit them over the head with it if they were to really piss me off. So I'd rather stay in that lane than find find humor in pulling pranks on people, because I really didn't. I didn't take great joy in even watching it happen to other people, because it was it usually, it could either be physically painful or it was certainly demoralizing.
Demoralizing
on some level, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I pretty much steered clear of that as much as humanly possible. When I was a rookie breaking in, I had to, the guys leave me on the side of the road with my own car sometimes and things like that. But they came back.
Yeah.
But I tried real hard not to make people think that I like playing those kind of games or be susceptible to
Right.
them.
You don't want to be in that kind of atmosphere.
no, I'm like TA. No, I didn't want to be in it either. But we had some, Kurt Hennig, and
Oh gosh.
he was constant. and the Midnight Rockers, Michaels and Chinetti.
Eddie, yeah.
Yeah, they were horrible.
My
Man,
goodness.
I had days with those two.
They're
just
lucky they didn't both get killed.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard Mark Henry talk about Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. I've heard that too.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. You take people that big, that strong, that with that kind of capacity, and think playing games with them, they get so numb to it, think you can do anything to anybody. But yeah, I mean, somebody like that could fall on you and kill you.
Yeah.
When you weigh buck 80, and you get out there with a 350-pound man that you're pissed off. That's not really cool.
That's not good at all. Not good for business. The funny thing is, they sent Mark Henry up to Calgary when that happened, and so he had to work. He worked with like the Hearts and Leo Burke, the late Leo Burke, and got an education up there. So it all kind of worked out for the world's strongest man in certain ways. And he became good friend with a great River and Owen Hart. So how about that?
Well, and Owen wasn't like a mean-hearted Ripper. He was a Ripper, but some of those guys it was like just an evil streak that they got to live out vicariously and think they could get away with it, and because that's just the business. Well, like I said, just the business to some people. To others, you'll have a receipt,
right?
And maybe not with anybody watching. You'll just be walking through that doorway and when you pick yourself up, you don't know what happened.
That's it. Did you guys ever? I might have told this story on here before. Did you guys ever hear the Calgary story? It was called like the Darla House rib or something like that, where they would talk about this. Hey, this wife's husband's away, and she loves the wrestlers. She loves the wrestlers, and she wants, she's willing to have a night with you and everything.
Yeah, that's a famous rib.
The famous. Have you heard this too, Greg?
I've heard Dick Murdoch and Mike Graham and all kind of people.
Mad Dog Vachon was a part of it too, apparently. Yeah. Oh my gosh, listeners, if you haven't heard this story, so what they would do is they'd set a young wrestler up or a newcomer into the Calgary area and be like, this woman just loves the wrestlers. She's willing to spend a night with you. You just got to meet her at this barn or whatever. And so here, what happens is they would go to this barn. The younger wrestlers would go to this barn, and there'd be the other wrestlers there. And instead of the wife showing up, I believe it was the husband. And they'd be like, "What are you doing here?" And then somebody would play the victim. And I think in the one situation, there was the great Antonio I was reading in the book, and Mad Dog Vachon got shot, acted like he got shot and killed. And the great Antonio ran out of the barn and like everything. Like, it's a fantastic, fantastic rib. That's like really,
it really is.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Such a great story. Some good stuff to hear there. But
only if you weren't the one that was the subject matter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't be the great Antonio, guys. Don't be the great Antonio. Hey, guys, if you like what you're seeing, if you like all this stuff, we got some merchandise, guys. And we got it for Greg Gagne and Magnum TA. You got to check it out at onetruesport.com. Here we got some merchandise here. We'll look at the Greg Gagne stuff. We got the high flyers. We got high flyer Greg Gagne, and we got Greg Gagne, the Heart of a Champion. Plus, we have a Heart of a Champion mug up there just in time for wintertime and fall. So get your Greg Gagne mug, and then get some Magnum TA merchandise. The America's team, the Magnum TA box of Chesapeake, and the classic logo of Magnum TA. You can also get that in the hat form too. So definitely scoop one of those up if you can, and take a look. We mentioned it earlier here too. The best of 7, you can get Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA together. The best of 7 series, they have the matches on the back. You can get the Nikita Koloff 84T, and then the aforementioned other one. And here's Heart of a Dress Like a Champion. The Heart of a Champion, Greg Gagne. So there you go. OneTrueSport.com.
I got mine on right underneath my shirt.
Heck yeah.
It's like cold here today. I'm just going to wear the T-shirt. It's only 60 degrees here in Minneapolis.
That's it, huh? Holy smokes. Fall is here, guys.
Yeah.
Fall is here.
And my daughter's getting married October 5th.
October 5th?
Outside.
Oh my gosh. Is there a gazebo at least in case it rains or anything?
Well, they got tents and stuff, but they're actually getting married at my son's house out on our lake here, Lake Minnetonka. He's on, so they decided to do it there.
Greg, do you want me to walk you down the aisle?
Baby, I've been walked down that aisle a number of times. I don't need you walking me down there.
Okay. Save me a dance at least, $1 dance. I'll be You're welcome. But guys, if you like what you're seeing and you want more any updates on Powertown Magnum you want to give before we close on out, we'll start with that too. Nothing.
Some big announcements coming up. That's all I can say.
And it's true too.
I'm glad you didn't ask me. I'd have said something. Then he gets.
You would have said something.
We get out there. You're not supposed to say that.
Maybe what I'll start
doing
is
something big coming up. I'll tell you that.
I'm keeping a wrench. I got a wrench.
And next week we're going to talk about Andre the Giant. We got some great stories.
That's it. We're going to get to him.
Yep.
I can't wait to talk about Andre. He's going to be
me either.
Man, what a fascinating topic. Man,
I've been thinking about so much of those stories now that I forgot them all. By the time we get to them, my memory.
We'll hit him.
You guys know. Yep.
Andre's our white whale, guys. Here, if you didn't know. But thanks to everybody for tuning in. Darren Staley, got Magnum. I did have to mention this. Lots of people in the chat. There's several ladies in the chat. This does not happen with wrestling fans. Like, you don't get ladies in the chat. We got Patty in here. We have, oh my gosh, I think Raven. That was another one we had. There's been several ladies in the chat.
He's getting a little red in the face.
Look at this. Cindy is here. She says, one of my favorite wrestlers, Magnum TA. Jen Vargo is here. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm helping broaden the
horizon. You're reaching out to a broader demographic. Boy, we're gonna have to have some love letters with Magnum TA or something where you
all of a sudden his memory's gone bad.
Oh, I told you my memory. Yeah. I'm fair game, unfortunately, because
that's what the ladies like to hear on
that big wrench. He's gonna hit me with one of these days.
Well, this has been fun, guys. We will do it next week. Be sure to like, subscribe. Hey, we'll have some news coming too regarding how other ways you can listen to Magnum and Greg here. I've been talking to some of my cohorts at One True Sport, and we got some game plans going. I have to tell these guys about it off air. But you guys tune in next week, and maybe you'll hear about it next week on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, Greg Gagne. Thanks, guys.